Hi guys, it is so good to be back filming regularly again. Even though you will have seen a video for the new year in 2017 and me hauling the product I'm about to review before this video goes up, this is technically the first video I filmed so far in 2017. So if I'm a little bit off, it's been a while since I've sat down in front of the camera and not just, vlogged. Because I've been doing a lot of vlogging through Vlogmas and other things. So it's been a while since I've just sat down. You'll notice a couple things are different in my background. I took down my tree. The blue lights that I had on my tree, I just love them way too much. So I just put them across my background. And then I kind of just rearranged all the junk back there. And then you can see the llama journal that my daughter got for Christmas in the corner because I keep it in my office so her brother and sisters won't get to it. But today I am doing a first impressions and review, and I might do updates throughout the day, of course, of the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation. This is really hard to get your hands on in stores because when I went to get it, it was the day they put it out at Ulta, and it was like, whoom, vultures on the stand. So the color I got is actually really, really pale, but I don't think it's too pale for me right now because, I mean, look at me, I'm translucent. Like, I'm practically paper at this point. This is just how I get during the winter. During the summer, I get a little bit more tan naturally. I don't tend to fake tan a whole lot, but just from more actual natural sun exposure. So this will work for winter for me, but I will definitely have to get a darker shade come fall. Now, this is in the shade 05, which is light. Now, there are a ton of shades. I believe there's 24 shades in total. They range from incredibly, incredibly pale to very dark. It's a very good variety, and I've noticed they have both neutral yellow and pink undertones, which is very, very nice. Now, this comes in just a standard box. Of course, I already peeled the tape because I'm weird like that and I just can't keep my hands off of products. So on the back, it explains that you want to use 2 drops for light coverage, 3 for medium, and 4 for full. At the end, of course, it has plus because depending on your face size, your skin texture, how much product your skin naturally absorbs, that is going to change. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. Now, it does say with just a few drops, our Total Control Drop Foundation delivers sheer to full coverage and a velvety matte finish. Now, this also comes with a brush. Everyone I've seen has been able to get their hands on the brush. Me? No. Can't find the brush anywhere, and I am too dang impatient to order it online and wait for it to arrive in like 2 to 3 weeks. So to test this out, I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Beautifully Bare foundation brush because this thing is a beast. I have not found a foundation that this does not work with beautifully. When I test foundations, I like to use brushes that I know work well on my skin and work well for me. Because if you try a foundation with a new brush, it could be the foundation that's the issue or it could be the brush that's the issue. So I'm using a very tried and true good brush. So I'm going to zoom you guys in real quick and I will show you the product and we'll start putting it on my face. Oh, and don't mind my hair. Baby hairs, they are still coming in, thank goodness, because I actually have hair around my hairline again, but my hair looks like a mess. My hair is freshly washed and styled and it still looks like I just crawled out of a rat hole, so I give up, guys. Just so you know, on my face I have my eyebrows done, my eye makeup done, lip balm on my lips, and on my face all I have is some Caudalie eye cream and the Dr. Jart Water Drop Moisturizer. That's it. And I've had that on for about an hour now, so it's really soaked into my skin. I'm not using primer or anything like that. Just a standard water-based moisturizer. I want to show you, I love the bottle, first of all. This is gorgeous. It's glass. It's very, very nice. Now, one thing that you're supposed to do with this that says on here but does not say on the bottle, so don't forget, is to shake very, very, very well. So I'm going to go ahead and shake this up. All right. So this looks In the bottle, it looks a little bit dark for my skin tone, but it's actually very, very pale. And it does have a dropper, just a nice standard dropper. And you can just pop out however many little drops you need. Very, very nice. Now, I'm not going to drop straight into my brush. I think that is a huge waste of product, in my opinion. It's something I don't like doing. Whenever I see people doing that, I'm like, it's disappearing, the foundation's just disappearing, and then they don't know why they're not getting as good of a coverage. It's a great concept, and maybe if I haven't tried the NYX brush you're supposed to do that with, maybe it's a dense enough brush that the foundation doesn't disappear. But for today's demo and first impression of this, I'm going to just pop the drops on my hand. Now, I'm going out later today, so I want full coverage. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is what 4 drops looks like. We're going to see how much of my face this will actually cover. So I'm just going to pop my brush into that. And start putting it on. Well, first off, it blends really, really easily. It's going into my skin nice and smooth. It feels like there's nothing on my skin, which is really, really nice. But however, looking at that, I have one cheek done. I've used probably about half the product already, and that is not super coverage. As you guys can see, I have a lot of acne scars right now that are finally healing up and going away. So I like to keep those fairly well covered. Okay, so right now, if I pull my mirror close so I can see what's going on. Right now I have what I would call about medium coverage on my cheeks, and I used all 4 drops. So I'm going to add 4 more drops. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 to do my nose and my forehead. Okay guys, I just adjusted the light a little bit because I think it was too bright. And I don't think you're able to see what's going on my skin quite as well. Now I'm just going in with what I have left and touching up any areas that didn't quite get as full of coverage. Let's take a look. Okay, I really love the finish of this foundation. It's very nice. It's a little teensy bit cakey on some of my dry patches, but not bad at all. It blended out really, really well. There's no lines or no streakings from the brush, which is nice. I gotta tell you guys, I used 8 drops, and I still don't think it counts as full coverage. I can still see a lot of acne scarring here, on my upper lip, on my forehead in spots. I can still see a little vein that I have here. So I definitely wouldn't call this full coverage, at least not for my skin, which is very dehydrated. I do tend to soak up product. If your skin was better moisturized than mine, honestly, this might provide better coverage. But I used double the amount of drops they recommended for full coverage. I like the feel of it. It's set really well. It's definitely very, very matte. Gosh, I look so pale right now, but I match my neck. This actually matches my neck like perfectly. So the color is excellent. It just makes me look half dead just because that's how I look when I don't see the sun. Yeah, I really like it so far. I definitely think that if you have any issues like really large pores, rosacea, a ton of acne scarring, that this isn't going to be a foundation for you. It's definitely more of a light to medium coverage foundation, which is fine for me because I don't tend to wear super, super heavy coverage unless I'm having a massive amount of breakouts or skin issues. But yeah, this doesn't enhance my pores a whole lot. It doesn't cover them up, but it doesn't make them look worse, so that's a good thing. I'm having a little bit of issues with dryness and the lines on my forehead anyway, so I really can't comment on that because right now any foundation is going to show that with me right now. But otherwise, it looks nice. I don't see any need to set this with powder. I am going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup. I'm just going to pop on my concealer, which I am going to cover with powder. I'm using my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. Normally, I'll do my forehead and my nose with concealer. I am going to skip that today and just do my massive under eye circles so that we can really see how the foundation wears throughout the day. Right now it is, I swear I'm so distracted today. It's 11:16 a.m. right now. So I'm actually going to wear this foundation throughout the entire day and give you guys updates and let you know what I think of it. So you can see I'm just keeping my concealer right underneath my eyes right now. And I'm going to take a tiny, tiny bit of my NYX banana powder just to set my concealer, nowhere else. For blush today, I'm using my Tarte blush in Entertain. I'm totally skipping contouring today just because I want as little of my face set with a powder as possible so I can see how this really, really wears. So the only powder I have on my face is what's setting the concealer and my blush. So for lips today, I'm just going to keep it easy and go with my Bite Beauty lip crayon in Meritage. Alright guys, so that's where it's at right now. That's how my face looks, and this is how it's going to stay for the rest of the day. I'm really, really liking how this foundation looks initially. I'm just going to be concerned how it's going to wear throughout the day, but it has a very nice matte finish. It's more of a natural matte, but it's definitely very, very matte. So I'm going to check back in with you guys in a few hours. Alright guys, sorry if you hear a ton of noise in the background right now. My kids are watching TV and I don't want to have them turn it off just so I can film a quick update. It is 4:35 for you guys. So I've been wearing this foundation about 5.5 hours now. So that's not a super long time, but I wanted to come in and do a quick kind of midday update for you guys. Even though it's not technically midday for most people, this is midday for me. So right now, if you look, you can see that I don't even need to zoom in, but my face is very, very, very oily right now. Now I have spent a good part of my day under bright filming lights, so that's a big part of it. But I do have oily skin, so this definitely doesn't control oil all day long. At about the 4-hour mark, I noticed that oil was starting to pop through. So if you have oily skin, I would definitely recommend either A, initially setting this foundation with powder, or B, having a powder with you so that at about that 4-hour mark, you can go ahead and add some powder and matte down your face again, because this has definitely gone from, you know, just glowy to pretty dang shiny. Now I'm going to look in the mirror. Let's see. This is actually holding up pretty well. It's still full coverage on my cheeks and my nose. It has thinned out around my chin, my upper lip, and my nose just a little bit. I do blow my nose a lot just because it's winter, and it's actually a lot better than I thought it would be. I don't notice it caking. Any caking has pretty much disappeared. My skin does look a little bit dry around my under eye area, but that's where I used concealer and powder, not the foundation. And you can see a tiny bit of redness peeking through on my nose where the foundation is worn off. But in no areas, not even my chin, is it breaking up. Where it's worn off completely smooth and natural. It blends in with everything else. There's none of that like cakey, cracked up, separated look. Kind of like when you see the oil separate from frosting. Sometimes a foundation can get that look. This has none of that. This is actually one of the best I've seen as far as wearing off smoothly. And as you can see, I do still have a good bit of coverage still left on my face. Now, at this point, most people would powder and continue on with their day. I'm actually not going to powder at all because a lot of times you forget powder or you don't have it with you. So I want to see how bad the oil situation is by the time I am calling it a day, turning off everything for the night and getting ready to take my makeup off for the day. So right now, it doesn't look quite as bad if you're looking at me normally versus on camera. It definitely looks more shiny on camera because I have lights coming from here, lights coming from here. So the shine is magnified. But I think if you were going out to dinner or in a more dimly lit situation, it won't be quite as visible. So I'm going to go ahead and end this update here, continue on with the rest of my night, and I will update you guys a little bit later, probably around 9 o'clock. Hey guys, so it is 7 o'clock at night. Sorry if it's a little bit noisy in here. My kids are playing and the dishwasher's going. We just finished dinner. And I wanted to kind of come on and do my final check-in of the night. I've worn the foundation for 8 hours now. Now, this, I believe, doesn't claim any specific wear time. So, like, I'm not trying to do, like, a 12-hour or 14-hour kind of wear test on this. But we're going to kind of call it an early night because me and my husband both had really long, uncomfortable, stressful days. His has been worse than mine, of course, because he's been outside in the cold. But I've been inside in the warm and trying on makeup and playing, but I've had other stuff to deal with today too. So we're going to call it an early night and get the kids in bed on time so that we can maybe watch a movie and then go to bed early because I did not sleep last night. So I kind of wanted to come in and check in with you guys. I've worn this for 8 hours now and my skin still looks really, really good. It's definitely a little bit more worn off on my nose and around my mouth from eating, but it wears off so seamlessly. It wears off beautifully. Like it's very difficult to tell where it's worn off and where it's still there. A lot of times if you use a heavier full coverage foundation, especially if you don't exactly match your skin tone and it wears off, you can really tell. I mean, it can look bad. Like I've seen girls who have rings around their mouth or rings around their nose when their foundation wears off, and it's just not good. So I'm really happy at how feathered this looks when it wears off. You really can't tell. I get close in the mirror, and unless like I am like this close to my face, I can't tell where it's worn off, which is absolutely amazing. Otherwise, on the areas where it hasn't worn off, on my cheeks and my forehead, I still have excellent, excellent coverage. Yes, it took me a full 8 drops instead of 4 drops to get full coverage, but of course, that's going to depend on your skin type, your hydration level. That depends on so many things. When they say that you'll need this much for this amount of coverage, it depends on a lot of factors. So I don't think 8 drops is a ton because that is still, when you compare it to the amount of product you have to use in a standard foundation, that's not a lot of product at all. So I am in short, a very, very big fan of this. I love the packaging. I think it's beautiful. I love that they used just a clean standard dropper. I wouldn't mind if the dropper style was a bit different or gave out slightly larger drops. That's the other thing, is the drops are very small, which is probably why it doesn't have quite as good of coverage for the amount of drops. but I love the frosted glass packaging. It's very small, it's very neat. You get 0.43 fluid ounces. That is half a fluid ounce for $15, which is reasonable for a drugstore foundation. However, once you look at the amount you get less than half of an ounce. Typically, in a normal drugstore foundation, you get a full ounce for right around between $12 to $16. But I do have a feeling that because of the smaller amount that you have to use, that you're going to end up getting exactly the same amount of wears out of this foundation as you would a full fluid ounce of a standard foundation, if that makes sense. So I don't think you're getting taken on the price. I think the price is very, very reasonable for what this is, especially when it comes to the wear and the appearance. My skin, to me, still looks amazing. If I had to go out right now, the only thing I would do is I would reapply just around my nose and my mouth, and my skin is still shiny. However, I've noticed that it has not gotten any worse since the check-in I did at 4 o'clock. It hasn't gotten worse at all, which is excellent. I thought by this point I would be a greasy mess. Yes, I'm oily, I'm glowy, but it's not full on like oil pouring out of my face bad. So I would just touch up around my nose, my mouth a little bit and do a light powdering for a full matte finish. Or if I still wanted a little bit of glow, I just powder my nose and my forehead and be good to go. And I would go out without touching up my cheeks or my forehead. I just powder because this has lasted really, really well, especially for how comfortable it is. You don't feel like you have foundation on at all. And honestly, normally I'm super oily down here, which is really weird. Most people are dry down here, but I don't feel oily or greasy down here at all, which is awesome. So yeah, this wears very well. It's very lightweight, very comfortable. If you're the kind of person who hates the feeling of foundation on your face, I would definitely recommend trying this because it doesn't feel like you have makeup on, especially if you don't need to set it with powder. Of course, that feeling will change if you have to set it with powder, but you know. Anyway, I would definitely give this a major thumbs up. I would definitely recommend you trying this foundation. If you have massively oily skin, this may not work for you. But I think if you have anywhere from dry to even moderately oily skin, because my skin's moderately oily, then I think this would be a great, great foundation. I am really, really impressed with this, actually. Of course, I think they need to adjust the expectations on how many drops you need for full coverage, but that could even be if I had the brush they designed to go with this, the amount I could need might be different. Applying it with your fingers, the amount you need could be different. Beauty blender, same thing. Application and skin type are going to affect that, so don't rely on the box for the amount you need. I'd say for an average face, start with 3 drops and go from there and see what you need to add. So I hope that this first impression / review was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions at all about this product or my opinions on it, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below, just so you know this is the first dropper style foundation I've used, so I can't compare it to any others, unfortunately. But I will answer any questions to the best of my ability. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also keep up with me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. I'm pretty much everywhere, and all the links for those are down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye!